Oi, you know what time it is? You're tuned in listening to Dry That Aussie Metal Guy. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his content when it drops. And remember, stay brutal, you mad dogs. Roof.
G'day, how you all going? It's Dry That Aussie Metal Guy here with Crank.com. So today, tonight, this evening, wherever you are in the world, it's a great pleasure that I'm getting to have a chat with Jordan Von Grae of Carmeria. I've been hammering the hell out of both their albums, the Advenae and the Tragédie D'Amour, and the single you done as the single cover you done as well, which was an absolute ripper, man. Thank you so much for joining me for a chat.
No worries at all, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure. I do know that you dropped that Advenae album 2021, but can you tell me a little bit about kind of the prior history of Carmeria and the reformation, I believe, right around 2018?
Yeah, dude. So I'll try and condense it as best I can because I mean we're sort of going through over 10 years of stuff here, but
Yep.
Yeah, really. So the band originally started as a female fronted prog rock outfit in 2012, and they released an EP called Awakening in 2013, I believe, before breaking up. And then Jerry and Lisa, the keyboardist and guitarist, opted to continue but reinvent the band as a symphonic metal group. So yeah, I think I must have met them at a rock night or something, something out in the city back when we were allowed to do that sort of thing in Sydney. But like, yeah, so I would have met them somewhere. I can't exactly remember where, but I had them on Facebook and they posted an instrumental track. And, I'd been in love with symphonic metal since I was a kid and really liked this track that they put up. And they sort of put it up with the caption of, if anyone wants to audition or put vocals to this or whatever, have a crack. And I did, and I sent it through to them. And this is back in the days where I was recording on my laptop microphone. So I think I had like, a free version of GarageBand, and I'd put the laptop up to my mouth and I'd sing that way and I'd record that way. And I sent it to them, and I was like, oh, I don't really know if this is what you're going for, but here's how I interpreted the track. And they, really enjoyed it and wanted to get me on board. So that was in 2014. And then from there, up until 2018, there were several lineup changes. We released 2 singles, which were Carpe Noctem and Solaris in 2017 and 2016, I believe. And we were really sort of, I was quite involved with a lot of other musical projects. And Jerry was quite busy with uni and all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, we went through several lineup changes and ended up solidifying the lineup that would see us put out Advenae in about 2018. So, yeah, from the early days, Jerry is the only remaining member. So, Mish came on board in 2018 as the new keyboardist, and then Emma as the new bass player just after we released Advenae. So, yeah, but, we were sort of working on the tracks over that sort of 6-year period.
Yep.
And then finally got it to a point that we were actually able to release it. So, yeah.
So you are all based out of the Blue Mountains area as well?
Mish and I are in the Blue Mountains, and then Jerry and Emma are sort of Western Sydney based. Yeah,
so what's that like? There's not a great deal of difference, though, is there, between it? Or
yeah, it's probably about an hour's travel. So we're actually, sorry if you can hear the drums in the background, dude. We're actually doing a rehearsal at Jerry's in his garage. So we're going back to the GarageBand days, man. But and I'm just in his studio next door doing the interview. Having a quick breather because I've been sort of, belting my lungs out for the last couple of hours. So, yeah, is that too loud?
No, you're totally fine. So what
brilliant.
was that like coming in and making that Advenae album,
Yeah, look, it was really, it was a mission, man, to be honest. Like, I think, we sort of had an idea of the sound we were going for, but a lot of what took, the reason Advenae took so long to get out, I suppose, was because, we're all doing sort of different things and we had all these lineup changes. And then, but a big part of it really was just wanting to upskill our own sort of songwriting and production and get it to the point that we could actually put out something that we were proud of. I think, we were in our sort of early 20s when we started doing this, and symphonic metal, isn't the easiest sort of genre to kind of write in. So, yeah, man, like it was a lot of self-development within the sort of musical world. And yeah, I think we had so many different ideas for songs and ideas for directions and stuff. And yeah, that lineup in 2018 really helped provide the brain, I guess, for actually sitting down, picking the songs, working on them, developing the sound, and then finally recording it and releasing it. And I think a big part of what allowed us to get the album out there was Lord Tim from the band Lord.
Yep.
Dude, absolutely love that guy. I learned so much from him, from like recording and like all about vocal layering and all that kind of stuff. And he was just such a blast to work with, and he really stamped his sound on the record, and I feel like it brought it up to, you know, a level that you know, we were happy with.
Yeah, it was a great album, and Lord Tim, man, Lord are one of those bands that are just absolutely fucking amazing, and I'm like, why aren't they bigger here in Australia? That would have been really good to work with him, for that one.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah,
would have set you up too, because you did do the production, didn't you, for Tragédie D'Amour as well?
Yeah, man. Yeah, so this is my debut record as a producer. So yeah, a lot of what I learned came from Lord Tim, and also like I sing in another band called Bad Moon Born.
Yeah.
And Voya, the guitarist, is a phenomenal producer, and he actually mixed Tragédie D'Amour. And so I've been working with Voya for 5 years, and I've picked up so many cool little like tips and tricks for songwriting and arranging and production. And I think, yeah, this felt like the right time to put all of what I'd learned into practice and actually, you know, just bite the bullet and sit in the producer's chair for the first time.
Yeah, Bad Mood Born, that's another dope Aussie band as well, dude.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, really enjoyed that band as well. Your voice, you have this really powerful, commanding symphonic metal voice. Did you know you could do that as well when you were like making this? Because it's really good, but you can also hear the different influences that kind of, I feel, kind of impacted you, even like a little bit of black metal in the Knock Day track as well.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much, dude. No, that means a lot. Yeah, like look, I really could never sing properly. So I came up in the pub rock scene, man. Like I was in a pub rock bands from when I was like 17 to when I was like 24. And you know, a lot of that is you know, attitude, and you know, I was pretty much just getting up on stage and shouting my guts out, and there wasn't really any you know, attention put towards, I suppose, you know, technique or pitch or, you know, anything like that. And when I got the gig with Carmeria and they took me on board, I figured, you know, I really should learn how to sing properly. And so Jerry, the guitarist, actually recommended that I get in touch with a vocal teacher that he originally sort of started getting some lessons off. And I trained with her for 2 years. And she really helped to open my eyes to, you know, the world of the voice, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, just gave me some great tips and tricks, and really helped me shape my voice and use it in so many different ways. So that was, yeah, I've got to give a lot of credit to her, because the 2 years that I spent with her really changed pretty much how I thought about singing and all that kind of stuff. But then I took those lessons and have been in sort of a fair few bands throughout the years within different genres. And so experimenting with those techniques in a range of different genres really helped to, I kind of guess, get me to a point where I felt comfortable in being versatile, which I think is you know, evident on this latest album. I think there's, you know, a lot of different voices going on there. So
exactly what I do want to touch on as well. So like, being that Advenae, like you said, that was a work in progress, and it took so many years before you were comfortable to kind of release it. And at that point that where you could release it, the Tragédie D'Amour is something that, you know, it didn't take as long to work out and kind of make and get out there as well. So tell me a little bit about how you feel the writing and recording process of one changed and also evolved for you guys with this album.
Yeah, man. So I think, you know, Advenae was such a you know, transformative experience in that it really helped us to streamline the production process. So I think, you know, there was so much learning that happened with Advenae that when it came to album 2, we sort of had all these processes in place. And so, like, for me, sitting in the kind of principal songwriter and producer chair, I had sort of a pretty strong idea of where I wanted to go for album 2. I mean, you know, having sat with the songs off Advenae for like 6 years, I was pretty ready to move on. And so, yeah, and I just kind of developed like a concept. I wanted to kind of delve into the realms of love and loss, and really kind of bring out more of that gothic rock influence that was kind of a bit present on Advenae, but I really wanted to sort of bring it to the forefront. And you know, whereas like Advenae might have been like 70% symphonic metal and 30% gothic rock, I kind of wanted to do the reverse with this. So I came up with a pitch and showed it to the guys, and they were on board with it. And so, yeah, man, it was a really cool experience. And I think being able to put those skills that we developed over the course of Advenae into practice for a new album was just really cool. Like, you know, it was kind of like, all right, we've got the knowledge, we've got the skills now. You know, we're not learning on the job. Let's like have a crack and you know, do it from scratch. So that was really cool.
And you released that through a label, correct me if I'm wrong, Wormhole Death, was it?
No. So we both Advenae and Tragédie D'Amour were independent releases.
Okay, and what was that like coming out as an independent? Because you've done a really good job marketing-wise with PR and kind of getting it out to all sorts of different ears as well, yeah?
Yeah, thanks, man. Look, yeah, all kudos to C Squared Media. So they ran the sort of PR for, they did like a sort of second run for Advenae and, you know, the whole Tragédie D'Amour PR campaign, and they're just so good at what they do, and they're really easy to work with. So they certainly helped a lot. But I think, you know, we were sort of very keen on the idea of going with labels early on, but I think the more the music world has changed, the more it's important to try and, you know, do things yourself. You know, like you don't want to get in stupid amounts of debt with like sort of labels and stuff like that. And I think, yeah, we sort of, I think through the second album, went through, you know, yeah, again, like a transformative experience in what we wanted for the band. And I think we landed on, you know, just rolling as an independent group and having complete control and not being in debt and all that kind of stuff. And it takes a little longer to get stuff out because obviously we're all self-funded. But, you know, then again, this time around with Tragédie D'Amour, we ran a crowdfunding campaign, and a lot of the folks that follow us really got on board, and I think we raised something like $8,500, which was phenomenal. So, you know, albums are such expensive undertakings, and I think, you know, being able to fund like half of it through the people who enjoy our music was unreal. And I think it really puts it in perspective for the future of what we want to do. I think, you know, if we can get to the point where the band is, I guess, self-sustainable and we're not having to constantly dip into our own pockets, you know, that's certainly the goal. And I think if we're able to do that, then the need or want for a label kind of becomes a little bit obsolete, at least in my opinion.
Well, those crowdfunding campaigns and the support from the fans in general are so important, you know what I mean? It's great to get those streams up, but when people are actually going out and buying the albums or chipping into this crowdfunding campaigns going, man, we really want another album from you guys, it's really good to see, and it's something we need to keep this scene going for sure. Support, we fans kind of have to keep that going and keep that level of support, because it's hard for you guys, especially independent. You've got to juggle all those social media campaigns, and you've also got to fight the overwhelming urge as a musician to kind of go, here's my album, here's a single. You've got to kind of plan out releases as well, you know what I mean? These days, kind of sad, but you've got to tailor it to streaming platforms as well. But listening to the whole albums, I loved grabbing Tragédie D'Amour when that was sent over for PR and listening to that and kind of going through this journey. As you said, you go through life, love, loss, and you kind of do feel all these different emotions in that album, and you do get that from a journey. So it must be hard at times to go, man, I just want to make the whole album and drop it out, but then you got to kind of balance it with the single releases as well. Yeah,
man, it takes so much planning, and I think something that you know, we have developed and do really well is like our division of labor.
Yep.
So I think, you know, we've gotten to a point where we all acknowledge and appreciate each other's strengths and utilize that to our advantage. So, you know, like Mish handles like all the sort of social media stuff, and like he's, you know, all over that and great with creating content and all that kind of stuff. Jerry's very much sort of the business guy, and he's such a great planner and really really gives us sort of goals to achieve, and he's very good at cracking the whip too, you know, if we're ever getting slack. And then, you know, I'll sort of handle like, you know, the production stuff and you know, a chunk of the songwriting duties. So it's really not we're really not a band where there's one guy doing everything. You know what I mean? I think there's a great division of labor, and it really works in our favor. And it's been really cool because that sort of dynamic has occurred quite naturally. And I think that we've been very fortunate in that we all just happen to have strengths in different areas.
Yeah, for sure. Tragédie D'Amour, favorite track off the album, and why this week? Because I know it changes week to week. It's like picking a child. Pick a couple if you want.
Oh man, I think that's really hard. Like for me, probably 1,000 Winter Rains.
Yep.
Which was the first single. So that was one of the first songs that I wrote for the album, and it was sort of just complete in my head. And I kind of it was quite an easy. It was probably the least challenging song to put together because I just heard what it was before I sort of sat down to work it out. So I mean, with some songs, you're sitting there and it's like trying to put a puzzle together, and you kind of trying to find the right pieces for it and all that kind of stuff. But with 1,000 Winter Rains, it just felt like a really natural occurrence. So yeah, I'd say probably 1,000 Winter Rains. I've also got a really soft spot for Whispers of Forgiveness. So that was a song I wrote like 7 or 8 years ago now, dude. Like, and that was when, I wrote it when my girlfriend and I sort of broke up, and I was in this really, awful state of mind, and and I just put it together, and it was a really accurate reflection of what I was feeling at the time, and it ended up, the lyrical content ended up coming to fruition because we're, back together and married now and have a baby, and so yeah, that was a really cool when we were going back on like all the old demos to choose songs for the record. It was the song that automatically fit the theme, held its place as like the lighter ballad on the album, and had this really cool personal story behind it.
Yeah.
So, probably 1,000 Winter Rains and Whispers of Forgiveness for me.
The whole album, I was really digging Leading the Lyre and the last track, A Vision in Passing, but that's going to change for me next week.
Dude, that's so cool. No, thanks so much, because those songs have a real place in my heart. It's funny, like Leading the Lyre was, we'd gone away for like a pre-production week to go through like a list of 30 demos, right? And we ended up whittling it down to about 9 songs, and and we really wanted a 10-track album, but like none of the other demos were we just weren't feeling them. And so I kind of just went away and, from that pre-production weekend, and I was trying to think of what we could include. And then I just had this, this dun, 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 and I was like, oh man, that wants to go somewhere. And then I just sat down and punched it out, I think, in a day. And then I sent it to the guys, and they're like, well, it's different. Like, it's very sort of, ghost dance macabre sort of thing. But considering we were leaning into that gothic rock vibe, like I think it really suited. And so I'd say it's probably the most un-Carmeria song we've ever done, in a sense. Like, it's very much the AOR sort of upbeat rock track, but that was a really cool experience.
I dug it, dude. Listening to that album, like going back to kind of the first times I was playing this when it did release back in August, that stuck out to me. And again, coming back and listening to the album again for the interview, I was like, man, for some reason that track just stuck out to me. I was in the other room and I'm like, man, come back in. I'm like, back to the start, play that again, because it just sat really well. And that's one thing about listening to whole albums. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, this single's got so many listens and that, but listening to whole albums, it takes you on a journey.
Oh, dude, it's a totally different experience. Yeah, for sure.
It is. You have those deeper cuts when you're like, fuck, man, I'm really digging that. Just showing my age a bit, but coming back, man, those deeper cuts. I really love that, man. Absolutely enjoy. Are there any ones you're actually keen to kind of get out and play live? Because you do have that tour with Orpheus Omega coming up, the Embers of Tragedy, another great band. I just chatted with Chris about this tour as well.
Yeah, brilliant, man. No, we're so excited for that. Like, we've been following Orpheus for ages, and they're such an incredible band, and we absolutely love their new record, man. It's such a cool listen. Like, it's just incredibly well done. So we can't wait to get on the road and do that. In terms of the songs we're playing live, like, I'm very interested to see how 1,000 Winter Rains goes. Obviously, because it's one of my favorites. But one of the songs that we weren't originally going to include, but then it sort of became one of the most popular tracks on the album, is The Hoping Heart. So it was really funny. We said, like, that was a track I kind of, put together probably midway through working on the album, and it was sort of felt a bit more of a filler track to me. But it fit the theme, and it kind of had this cool upbeat groove, and I was keen to have it on the album, but that's why we stuck it at like track 9. It's kind of one of those like, all right, it brings the energy up before the epic power ballad at the end, releasing it, it's like, that's, other than the singles, that's the most popular song on the record. And it's going off in Germany, you know what I mean? Like, it's so that's really cool. So we kind of sat down to develop the set for the tour probably a couple of months ago now, and it was very much this, man, we should include The Hoping Heart, and it's like, wow, it's a song that I think none of us were really expecting to take off and to play live, you know what I mean? And so I think I'm really interested to see how that goes. And we just rehearsed it live not too long ago, and it's sounding really cool.
Awesome. That must be really good too, to kind of see, your music being played over in Europe as well, especially Europe. They have such an amazing kind of scene over there. Have you guys played there yet, or are you kind of definitely something you would want to do? Yeah.
No, look, it is the dream. We've never played outside Australia, but hopefully one day, man. But that, it is really cool, getting those kind of those numbers and those statistics of where your music is popular, because I mean, symphonic metal, gothic rock, it's not exactly the most popular genres in Australia. And so I think, Australia's 8th on the list of countries where the album is most popular or something like that. So having that information is so cool, because it's all the bands that we're inspired by are from Europe. And so the fact that they're eating it up, that's a really cool thing to see.
Isn't that sad sometimes, though? We have such, being in the scene yourself, we have so many amazing bands here in Australia, and you're see some of these people that are just constantly listening to stuff overseas and not checking out what we've got going on in their own backyard, because the quality of talent we have here is fucking absolutely amazing. That's why I seen that recent Metallica play, and I was a little bit fucking devo they didn't have any Aussie bands playing as support. It should be a done thing. Whenever these bands come over, big international bands come, they have to have an Aussie band to support. We have so many great bands. You guys could have even filled that slot. No worries at all.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
But you know what I mean? You get the idea.
Yeah. I mean, it would be awesome to see, I guess, more support for, these kinds of bands in this country. But I mean, you can't really pick what people like. So
yeah, exactly. Look,
but I mean, the fact that it's getting heard somewhere is really cool.
Yeah, look, this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to let you get back to bloody rehearsals, mate. Jordan, do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in there, mate?
Look, just huge thank you to all the people who have listened, shared, supported us on this journey. It's been incredible, and we're so grateful to be able to provide music to people that they connect with. So that's been awesome. We also have a subscriber channel on Coffee that for $5 a month you can sign up and get access to, we do one post a week, and I think there's probably about 18 months worth of content there now, and that's everything from lyrical deep dives, behind the scenes footage, previews for new songs, access to our private Discord channel, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you can get it all for $5 a month. So for anyone who is interested in that, it's coffee, spelled ko-fi.com/Carmeria. So you can, check in with us there.
There you go. Everybody go check that out. Throw down some support. Grab some Carmeria, chuck it in the stereos, crank it up really bloody loud. The neighbours are going to want to hear it too. Cheers, mate.
Thanks so much, dude. Thanks.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.